While on a Panama Canal cruise, our first port of call was Cabo San Lucas. This is Jewel Fitzgerald of Jewel's Travel. We're going to talk today about Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. We sailed on a catamaran to snorkel in two different spots. My husband and I, we were both extremely apprehensive, me more than him, because he's a fish and he loves anything that has to do with water. However, our swims for the last few years had been in pools, so I was really nervous, and I was surprised to learn Dan was too at the time that we were both apprehensive because we hadn't been in the ocean in a minute. Being in the ocean is way different than being in a pool that's relatively still. Granted, you could have little waves because other people are splashing and pushing water around, but in the ocean, there's no edges, there's no ends, and the currents just push and flow you gently or violently in all kinds of directions. So it's kind of nuts. So we were both apprehensive. And what made it even more scarier for me is when we was on this catamaran, the company that we were with, the Cabo Adventures, said there was no need for us to wear life jackets while we were on the boat. And I'm like, what? That was already making me nervous thinking about if it capsized, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I can swim, but still, it's the ocean. And, you go into a panic and you may drown doing something crazy because you don't have anything to keep your head afloat above water. He said that he made it sound like the region doesn't require people to have life preservers on, even though I was looking in the distance at other smaller ships and they all had life preservers on. So I was thinking, I wish I was over there with them. However, but that was all good because I just okay, God, then I really got to praying. I prayed before we went because I was concerned, apprehensive for me personally, and then when you were praying while we were there, especially when I said we don't need any life preservers. So it was something else. But however, we were given these different kind of swim jackets. I want to call it a swim jacket because they're not the life preservers that I'm accustomed to that really fit around your neck and hold your head up, or a different kind of almost not like a BCD as a scuba diver, because as a scuba diver we have these other jackets that really inflate with air from our devices. This was some other kind of swim jacket I've never seen before. Kind of, it's not even really a jacket. I think it was more like it wrapped around your waist in a way, but it was weird. They allowed us to use those if we wanted to, and most of us did, and I was definitely one of those. So in Cabo San Lucas, the shore excursion, like I said, was held by Cabo Adventures, and this group, other than that lifeboat, the life preserver situation, they were so attentive, so clear on instructions on what was to happen, what will happen, what's going to keep us safe, and they just protected us all the way. Before we even got to our snorkel location, they took us to this arch of Cabo San Lucas. This picture does not give it justice of what that looks like. I mean, I just can't do it. It's just something you got to see to your naked eye, and it's just beautiful just to see that. I wasn't anticipating seeing that. I was just happy for the snorkeling experience that we hadn't done. So that was like a big wow. So this was amazing. And then the temperatures were in the low 80s, and we snorkeled in super clear water. Fish was everywhere. They put bread out to draw the fish, but that wasn't even necessary. Once we got to the coral, there were so many kinds of fish and colors and shapes that the bread wasn't even necessary, even with us swimming around. I forget what size our group was, maybe, I don't know, 25, 30 at the most, something like that. But it was so refreshing to be back in the water once I got in there and had this life preserver jacket, whatever thing it was, on that helped my comfort level. And besides the fact that I had prayed and God helped me be comfortable in his environment, even when the waves was pushing me to and fro towards the coral, it was so beautiful. Because I had a little experience with coral at another excursion. I can't remember what place that was. I'm seeing it right now. I can't think of a St. Thomas or some other place we snorkeled at, and somehow the currents had brushed me up against the coral and cut my leg open, and I had to swim like haste back to the boat because the first thing I thought about was bleeding sharks, bleeding sharks. I got to get out of this water. So in this case, I really was really trying to stay away from the coral at all. Like, I tried to go through that again. Not to mention it hurt because you're in salt water and that's just stinging the wound on top of that. So me and Dan, we took so many pictures, so many pictures of all these fish. And in my excitement of being in God's nature, I didn't even think about put it on video, put it on video. So we got tons of still shots, not one single moving picture of the fish. But hey, that's all. It was all about the experience of being in the water with God, seeing His underwater water world that a lot of people aren't able to see. So that was just the thrill of that. And then what surprised us the most about this trip, anytime you go on a shore excursion, they give you a description of what's going to happen, and they mention nothing about food. So, and at the time that we were going, the hours, it was like, okay, cool, we'll have breakfast on the cruise ship, we'll have our lunch when we get back. They fed us, there was nothing in there. Before we even went onto the first snorkel spot, they gave us this tray of fruit. And that was excellent because fruit is what keeps you from being seasick. So that helped while we were riding on the catamaran out there to keep you from being sick before you even got a chance to even jump in the water. And then after, and I thought that was enough, and then they gave us water, liquids, and that kind of stuff to keep us hydrated. And then after our snorkel, we had a full lunch. We had this lunch of chicken mixed with vegetables. That's in the one corner there. You'll see it looks like a salsa, but it actually has chicken meat in that vegetable. Looks like a salsa. And then we had the chips. And then we had this pasta. That was delicious. It was just a mix of pasta, vegetables, and a bunch of other stuff. Guacamole, as you can see there. Two different types of sandwiches that were cut in half. One was grilled chicken and one was grilled chicken. One was grilled chicken and one was turkey. So we had both of them. It just sounded weird that we got two birds of prey, birds of fowl, two fowl. I can't even stumbling over my words here, but two different birds in the same meal. And with that thick bread, oh my gosh, the food was so delicious. And that guacamole, that big plop of guacamole, me and my husband were like, oh my gosh, because neither of us like guacamole at all. It's so nasty to me. I don't know if it's a texture thing or the way it looks, like whatever. I know I haven't liked it. I don't know why he hasn't liked it, but I haven't liked it. But since we had that big old plop, we were saying, okay, let's take a no thank you, help me. And oh my gosh, I am so glad we did because it was so delicious. I guess we had to go to real good guacamole from Mexico where it comes from because it's like here in the United States, any guacamole I've had has just not been up to. So now I don't even know what to say now because I'll just have to always when I have guacamole, just I have to have it in Mexico unless I can find a real Mexican restaurant that's really doing it right. So that was someone else would have to help me with that one. So, but that was so good. So we were stopped, so we didn't have to have lunch. By the time we got back on shore, we were good to go. And then our trip ended with a ride back into the sunset. You could see the ship in the background, you could see the mountains in the background, yachts in the view, and the pictures we took, and we just couldn't even capture that. I couldn't even put that down right now to even tell you what that looked like or give it justice. It's bad enough that Arch wasn't as good as I would have loved to have been, but the sunset picture, yeah, you'll just have to go there and see it yourself. So this was a most romantic way to experience this beautiful destination. And I hope you get a chance to go to Cabo San Lucas, and I hope somehow maybe God gives us a chance to go back and spend more time than just a day. I love being on cruises because it gives me a little sample of all the different destinations on a particular itinerary so that if it's a place that I say, oh my goodness, I have to go back and experience more of that, then I can go back there and stay on the land for a few more days. This is one of those kind of places because it was just beautiful. The water was crystal clear. The water was fabulous. May you have an opportunity to go to Cabo San Lucas and do some of the things that we did. This is Juel Fitzgerald signing off until our next adventure.